Hi everyone, Miss Spear here. Welcome back to our final video for Nuts to You this year for our One Book, One School special event. Now, thanks to some fourth graders' suggestions, you'll notice I have a new animal visitor with us here. Why not, right? And believe it or not, I still have more. But this is our last one for our guest videos here. I have my other dog, Sophie. You'll notice she's a little bit of a different size than Koa. Not quite so tall, but shh, don't tell her, she doesn't know. So this is Sophie. This is my other dog, and she is a 14-year-old Welsh Pembroke Corgi. And she loves listening to stories, of course. She also loves anything that has to do with food. I'll give you a little trivia question to start today, my friends. What do you think is Sophie's favorite snack? I'll give you some choices. Choice 1, carrots. Choice 2, bananas. Choice 3, breath bones. When you get to be 14, sometimes you have some stinky breath. Or the last choice, lettuce. What do you think? Carrots, bananas, breath bones, or lettuce? What do you think is Sophie's favorite? Do you have a guess in mind? Okay, here's the big reveal. Drum roll, please. Sophie's favorite treat is everything. She loves everything, all of the above. She loves carrots, she loves lettuce, she loves green beans, especially picking them straight from the garden. She loves bones, she loves pretty much anything you'll give her. Today for our snack during stories, because everybody likes to snack with a story, right? I grabbed her some carrots, so we'll give her some carrots for the story too. Would you like a carrot? Oh yes, so yummy, yeah, very nutritious. Well, welcome back everybody. As we snack and listen to the story today, I have brought back to us our Nuts to You story. And thanks to Lynn Ray Perkins, we're getting a chance to read this last couple of chapters together. And this will be our last video for this year. So I'd like to start right on in where we left off on chapter 22. Story first, fight later. Quite a title, huh? Let's dive in. Both groups of squirrels turned toward Charette. The old man chuckled. He said, "Charette, you silly girl, look around you. You're in the grove, dear." But his friends and neighbors stared at the newcomers in bewilderment. They're not quite so sure, Soph. "Who are you all?" one of them called out. "Why are you here?" someone shouted. "Why did all of you come at once? What did you want?" A grumbling arose. The shouts turned quickly to, "Get out of here! Leave us alone! Go back to your own grove." But, said Charette. "Who's gonna make us?" said Burke. He stepped forward, ready for a fight. "Yeah," said Jip. "Who?" He struck a menacing pose just after Burke, who he hoped to use as a shield if things were going to get nasty. Behind them, their baffled compatriots tensed up and prepared to defend themselves. The pups ran to their mothers. Not the puppies. The pups. The squirrel pups. The little babes. Just like you, right, So? Just a little puppy. Remember, this is the TSTS, which some of our teachers are saying different ways. This is a tricky one to say as part of this story. So remember, just like we ask all of our readers to do, if you come to a tricky part in a book, especially when it comes to a name, do your best to use what you know for this name, but sometimes you're just going to have to go with what you think, and that's okay. If your teacher's pronouncing it differently than me, that's okay. And if you have something in your mind for this, as long as it matches the letters and sounds you see, and as long as you're thinking of those noises squirrels make, that works with this story. So TSTS, I'm pronouncing of Zutza. Zutza turned to Jed. "Now what?" she said. Jed jumped up onto a stump where he could be seen by everyone. "We are squirrels, like you," he said, "and we brought our own nuts. May I tell you a story?" What do you think, Soph? You want a good story? How about a snack? You want a snack too? Oh, snack and a story. They should have brought snacks. Story first, fight later, as the saying goes. Jed hoped it would hold true. He wasted no time. Amid the thick and intertwining boughs, among the limbs, branches, and leafy twigs of our grove, he began, the buzz paths ran. Even the very oldest squirrel cannot remember a time when they were not there. The squirrels crept toward him. Without planning to, they stood closer and closer together. Maybe you have been in a group of people all listening together to a really good storyteller. Maybe it's your Uncle Norrell at Thanksgiving dinner. Everyone listens together and laughs together, and it makes us feel closer. Just like One Book, One School. All of us sharing these stories, or this story together, and getting a chance to come together as a community. Something about stories that can do that to us. It makes us feel like a family. I like that in the author's words here. Jed was a quiet squirrel. He wasn't a performer, but he forgot himself and he spoke from his heart. He was so sure now that every squirrel would want to hear this story that they did. He told of the hawk. I see some of our 5th graders making art of that too. The new grove, the reddish squirrels, Chai and Zutza, and the terrible cutting. Oh, some of our 4th graders have been making art of that too. He told how no one would listen and how they came up with the idea of the game. By the time he came to the end, which was the part right before he started telling the story, everyone felt that they had been at his side through every twist and turn. That didn't mean they all believed what they were hearing. They weren't sure they were supposed to. Maybe it was just for entertainment, a fictional story. Now see, said Zach, that was so much better than the first time you told it, and you put parts in about us. That was a good idea. I've chewed my finger claws practically down to the nubs just listening, said a squirrel from the new grove. If something like that was to actually happen, I don't know what I would do. But it did actually happen, said Jutta. That's the whole point. It did happen, didn't it? All eyes turned to Jed. He looked at the sky. Through the nearly leafless trees, he could see the sun that was about to fall below the horizon. There would be light for a little while yet. Come see for yourselves, he said. I think there is just time. Chapter 23. Unbelievable. Need a snack for chapter 23? Oh, yeah. Snacks and stories. You a happy girl, Soph? Dozens of squirrels looked out from the sawed-off edge of the forest. They gazed down in disbelief at the casually tossed mounds of chopped-up tree. Scraps of what had once been homes now littered the earth. The smell of freshly cut wood was overpowering. Above the wreckage, the bus paths hung lonely and bare. Why do they do it? Asked Charette. Unbelievable, said Zach. Even the 4 friends who had known what was going to happen had trouble looking at it. So this, said Jed to the squirrels he knew and loved, is why we played the game. And this, speaking now to the squirrels of the new grove, is why we came to your grove. His words fell into the silence like pebbles dropped into a pond. I know there are a lot of us, said Zutza, but we did bring our own nuts, as many as we could. And we can bring more tomorrow, added, remember, Tchke, Chuka. I'm sure we can still find a lot. We don't have much time, said Chai. We tried to move everyone to the closest place that was safe. As soon as the trees grow back, said Zutza, we'll get out of your way. That will take a long time, I think, said Jutta. In her whole life, the growth in any one tree had been barely noticeable. Yes, she said, I think it will take a very long time. I suppose you're right, said Zutza quietly. It was one of those moments where anything can happen. Something big or something small, something kind or something harsh. It's so uncertain that the first one to speak can tip it one way or the other. It must seem so rude, said Chuka, that we moved all at once into your home. Maybe tomorrow we can find somewhere else to go. What the second squirrel says is important too. In this instance, the old man from the new grove said, let us take it one step at a time, my dear. You have brought nuts. We shall see what we shall see. So, saying, he turned and headed home. Chubby was the third to speak. He said, I think that game was deuced clever. I tipped my cap to the squirrel who thought of it. Getting squirrels to listen to reason is like getting a tree to drop its nuts at your front door. Hearing this, Jip perked up. He'd already forgotten about the game. The game, he cried out. Who won the game? All of the squirrels laughed then, and As laughing is as good as stories and games, if not better, at bringing everyone together, the moment tipped them all toward togetherness. "It's late," said one of the New Grove squirrels. "Let's go home, all of us." And in twos and threes and fours, they began to make their way into the darkening woods. Only Jed and Zitza and Chai and Chuka remained. And Jip, he was still waiting for the answer to his question. Jed, as a curious expression on his face, studied the silly squirrel. "You won, Jip," he said. And off Jip scrambled, hooting and hollering, I won the game!" "What did you tell him that for?" asked Chai. "We'll never hear the end of it." "If you think about it," said Jed, "if it wasn't for Jip, we wouldn't have known what was coming." "I guess that's true," admitted Chai. "I guess a lot of things might not have happened." "Well, I feel like I won too," said Chuka quietly. "At least for the moment." "For the moment," repeated Zitza. "What more can a squirrel ask?" "Live for the moment," said Jed, "but bury a lot of nuts. Or carrots. Right, Sosa?" "We're squirrels," said Chai. "That goes without saying. That's how we roll." He turned to Chuka and said, "Race you to the grove?" "You're on," she answered, and they were off. "I guess we'd better go too," said Jed. He and Zitza had not yet moved from their perches. Twilight had deepened into night. "I feel so strange," said Zitza. "I don't know whether to be really happy or really sad." "I know what you mean," said Jed. "I know exactly what you mean." A sliver of moon came out from behind a passing cloud. Pale, silvery light threw faint shadows from the new stumps onto the earth, and it lit up small spots of white all along the edge of the new clearing. Zitza peered at the spots. They weren't mushrooms. They weren't in clumps. They were spaced out in intervals. Oh, that's a good math word, intervals. What were they? The scent of cut wood was strong, but another scent found her nose then, and she sniffed. She sniffed, and she smiled. "What are you looking at?" asked Jed. "Why are you smiling?" "Come with me," she said. He followed her down into the clearing. "Something smells really good," he said, his nose twitching, "but I don't know what it is. Do you smell it?" "Yes," said Zitza, "I do. Here, taste this." She handed him one of the white spots. Do you have any idea what it is? A creamy substance covered one side of it. "Wow," said Jed. "What is this?" "It's a message," she said. "A message?" asked Jed. "What does it say?" "I don't know exactly," admitted Zitza, "but I think it's a nice message." "It's a tasty message," said Jed. "Are there any more?" "There are," she said. They had a few of the messages, then made their way to the new grove. They went slowly. It had been a long, long day. A long few days, really. And they were exhausted, but mostly they had so much to talk about that they weren't in a hurry. It was unusual to be outside in the night, so unusual that they were unaware of the dangers. Owls, for example. But it may be that fortune decided to give them a break this once. They marveled at how the stars shimmered through the autumn branches. The sliver of moon glimmered in the deep black sky. There were sounds they weren't used to. It was interesting how, although they could not see very well, the scent of friends old and new led them surely and unmistakably along. When they reached their nest, they had to laugh. The nest Zitza had made with the pups, remember, squirrel pups, not puppies, now with their parents was a shambles. And Jed had been too busy urging everyone else along to do more than toss an occasional twig or a bit of fluff onto his own heap. "We'll do better tomorrow," said Jed. "Will you be warm enough? I can give you some of my leaves." "I'll be fine," said Zitza. "I'm so tired. I could sleep under a single blade of grass." Jed laughed. "Good night, my friend," he said, "and thank you." "It was nothing," she said. Though they each knew it was not nothing, it was not nothing at all. "Nuts to you," she said. "See you in the morning." Jed stayed out for just a moment longer. He was tired, but still too wound up for sleep. He sat on the limb and considered the stars, the unbelievableness of all those recent events, the infinite variety of squirrels. His mind was so full. He was beginning to shiver, though, and then something large rustled in the undergrowth below and sent him diving for cover. Not again. No more adventure, right? A reflex. Once inside, even the hastily made dray captured his own warmth. It grew pleasantly cozy, and Jed grew pleasantly drowsy. Before he drifted off, he sent a silent goodnight wish to Zitza. Imagine, he thought, having the courage to leave your grove and find a friend snatched by a hawk. That's not nothing, he thought. That's definitely something. Nuts to you, my friends, he thought. Nuts to us all. Are you starting to snore? I think she's starting to drift off to sleep too. Well, nuts to you, my friends. We have officially reached the end of our book. Now, with your teachers or with your own copies, feel free to explore the author's endnote. There's some really interesting notes and thoughts about her story here. There's an epilogue where she adds in some additional pieces and parts to the story, some acknowledgments, especially thanking the squirrel inspiration she had. And I know I've even heard some of our kinder friends were giving some of the drawings out a try, and I've seen some really neat artwork popping up in our upstairs and downstairs hallways with different scenes from the book or different squirrels. So feel free to check out either the version here or some along with your teachers to come up with some really neat ideas and inspiration that this book has given us. As we wrap up this month and this special event, I want to thank you all for all the work that you did in joining us along in this adventure. It's been really fun to try something new and to have a little nuts to you adventure for us all. Don't forget, as we consider this for next year and something special up our sleeves for next winter, we have our mailbox just outside of the reading room door with our papers there for any recommendations. If you have a book in mind that you'd like us to consider for next year, feel free to fill out one of those forms and pop them in the mailbox for us. We look forward to hearing any great ideas you have for some inspiring stories that you think not just you and your friends might like, but the whole entire school and whole community. One book, one school, one community. Thanks everyone for joining in on this story with us, and thanks for your best work. Happy reading, everyone. Happy reading, So-So. Happy sleeping. Bye, everybody.